So, the Federal High Court in Abuja have sentenced Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment for charges of terrorism. And this has made a lot of Nigerians talking, with so many having different things to say about this. Some Nigerians are applauding the judiciary for upholding justice, while majority of Nigerians are actually against this judgment of verdict that was given by the Federal High Court in Abuja. So here has been the thing that has been happening concerning this Nnamdi Kanu's case. The case has just been in court for over 10 years, and remember, it was extradited from Kenya, then brought to Nigeria, and where he has been thrown in prison for some years now, I think since like 2022 or thereabouts. Today, they now decided to put an end to it by giving their final verdict or judgment on the case. So remember, this is not the first time he has been taken to court. They have, even in the previous years during the Buhari's administration, Supreme Court have already dismissed this case. I think Supreme Court and Appeal Court earlier dismissed this case before, but they refused to release it. They refused to grant him bail, and yet they still continue the case in other courts in Nigeria. And though some lawyers have argued that this in law is called double jeopardy. Previously, on 7th November, they did the hearing, and from there it was adjourned to on the 20th November, which happens to be today. It was today they now made the judgment or verdict concerning his case. He was found guilty of 7 count charge, and in the 7 count charge, he was sentenced to life imprisonment for count 1, 4, 5, and 6. While for count 3, he was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment, and for count 7, he was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. They said that these jail terms given to him are going to be running concurrently, according to the judge that handled the case, Justice James Omotosho. But now that is not even the issue. The issue there is that, to me, I disagree with the way and manner this case was handled. I expect that by now, whichever government that is in power is supposed to know that this is not a case you treat in court, because this man called Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for his self-determination for his people. He's fighting for his self-determination for his people, and I don't see any reason why he should be called a terrorist or labeled as a terrorist by any court of law. And even though I would disagree with some of his method in which he was using to actualize or achieve this self-determination ambition was unconventional, but regardless of that, that is not still enough reason for us to label him a terrorist. And the judge that handled this case kept on hitting on the fact that it was broadcast on phone call and different, in fact, mainly on phone call, that it was on a radio broadcast, the Biafra radio, so that it was using to incite violence and perpetrating different forms of evil against even his brothers and sisters in the eastern region. So all those things are put together were the sum total of what now made them to charge him for terrorism, found him guilty of all the 7 count charge, and sentenced him to life imprisonment. So to me, this is unfair, because the judge was saying he was that merciful to have not given him a death sentence, which the international community at present frowns at globally. Instead of giving him death sentence, he had to give him life imprisonment. And for me, it's almost the same, just that death sentence is more or less like instant. But life imprisonment, certainly with his age, is still more or less like you are giving him a death sentence, because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is 58 years old. Are you giving a man of that age life imprisonment, saying he must certainly die in prison? I believe that judgment was not entirely fair, because the main people that are supposed to be facing terrorism charges in courts are the ISWAP, those Boko Haram, those Fulani herdsmen, those people that are claiming the lives of both Christians and Nigerians in general in the north. These are the people that can be well labeled as terrorist organizations. So, and their leaders or sponsors are supposed to be the ones facing the charges that have been levied against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This one ought not to even be in the courtroom, because this is a fight for self-determination for the Igbo people. That is what this man has been fighting for. I believe that this is what is supposed to be resolved politically and diplomatically. The government that is being headed by President Tinubu is supposed to open window for negotiation with him. That was what I was expecting the late President Buhari to do, but he didn't. This is what the government is supposed to do at this point, not sentencing him. This might worsen the case, because now you say you are trying to restore peace in the southeast. You're doing all these things now is worsening the case. You are already making the case worse than it is. The best thing that should be done at this point in time is negotiation. If you can negotiate with bandits, why can't you negotiate with Nnamdi Kanu, who you label as a terrorist? Why? You know that just a statement from Nnamdi Kanu, all those ACN and the others who are disturbing the peace of the southeastern region, they will immediately put to an end all their nefarious activity. Just one statement from Nnamdi Kanu. So you know he has this influence on the people a lot, and the best thing you're supposed to do is to negotiate with him. If you can negotiate with these bandits in the north, you see local government chairman, top government officials, governor, you always see them doing peace deal, negotiating, most times even sending Shegumi to go and negotiate with these bandits. If you can negotiate with these bandits that have claimed a lot of lives, not even that are claiming a lot of lives in the north, if you can be negotiating with them despite the nefarious activities, despite the blood in their hands, despite the number of lives that they have claimed. So if you can negotiate with them, I see no reason why you shouldn't open such window to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Rather than negotiating, the people are now sentencing him to life imprisonment. And to you haven't seen it as something that is lenient enough. You are seeing it as clemency. This is not nice. This is totally wrong. This is totally wrong. The government knows what to do, but I don't know the hatred that the government have towards this man. Because if we are to be truthful to ourselves, what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for the self-determination of his people, that is a just cause. Do you know why? Because the people from the eastern region are not treated fairly. They are not treated equally. The government are not treating them as though they are part of us. They are being sidelined. They are being segregated and discriminated by the current government and even the past governments. In fact, all the past governments we have had, they have not been showing this people love. They have not been carrying them along. They don't show them this sense of belongingness. They don't carry them along as though they are among the enemy groups in Nigeria. They treat them less. I'll give you an instance. Last presidential election, 2023 election, when the campaign season started, before the election, there were different propaganda from the APC camp saying that Peter Obi, if he should win the presidency, if he should win and become president of Nigeria, that is going to make the IPOB to achieve their mission. It's going to make the IPOB to actualize their mission of having a nation of their own. They were propagating this all because they saw an Easterner, an Igbo man, who is like a strong political force coming from that region. And they believe that the only way to demarket him, to make Nigerians not to look at his direction, to vote for him, is when they bring this idea of secessionist agenda, when they bring this idea of him being used as a tool to actualize this self-determination for the Igbo people. Different narratives, different propaganda was being pushed by the APC camp just to ensure they make Peter Obi lose votes. And funny enough, at the end of the day, he still won majority of the states in Nigeria, even though the mandate was taken away from him. But at least it was proving that people, the ordinary people of Nigeria, love the Igbo people. But you see these political leaders up there, they don't treat them with love. Now, I want to ask you a question. When last did you ever see an Igbo man becoming the president of Nigeria? When last did you see a president of Nigeria that is from the eastern region? When last did you see an Igbo president? When last? Ask yourself this question. Apart from Dr. Nnamdi Kanu, that was the head of state back then, before the military took over. So imagine, since then till now, all we have, the only position that the Igbo people have only been able to get is either the position of Senate presidents, deputy Senate presidents, or speaker, or the position for those governors like in their states, and ministerial positions, ambassadorial positions. These are the only positions that they get. Now, the question is this: are we being fair to them? Is the government being fair to them? We have had presidents coming from the north. We have had presidents coming from the west. We have had presidents coming from the south. Now we also have presidents coming from the west, which is Tinubu. So we have had presidents from this, but you cannot count any presidents you have had coming from the east. Then you tell me that the eastern region are being treated fairly? This is wrong. This is wrong. The judge, Justice Omotoshon, kept on pointing the fact that Nnamdi Kanu was being rude. He kept on pointing and highlighting that father he has been rude and cocky. How would somebody not be rude and cocky when he's not being treated fairly by the government of his country? And you believe you should be happy with the country? Don't you know that intimidation and oppression sometimes can make someone become violent? In those countries where they practiced racism earlier, like in South Africa, even in USA, where you have African Americans, go and check. During the period of racism in America, the blacks were very violent. Why? Because of segregation and discrimination among them. Segregation and discrimination can make someone become violent. When you are not being treated fairly, you are not being treated as equals among your mates, you become violent. You now see everybody as an enemy. That's what was the case of this man. He has been in prison for some years. And you expect him to be calm? You expect him to be happy with the system? To me, partially, I see that judgment of the court today. I see it as something that is born out of hatred, disrespect, and sentiments. Because the judge sees Nnamdi Kanu as someone that has disrespected his position as a judge. And even the prosecutor of the government that filed the case against him also saw him in that light as one that was very rude and cocky. The judge continuously hit on that father. He was disrespectful, rude, and cocky. That one already should make us Nigerians know that the judge might have done or carried out that judgment based on sentiment. Even the prosecutor, same thing, because if you observe, the prosecutor was continuously hitting on the fact that going by these charges levied against Nnamdi Kanu of terrorism and him being found guilty of the 7 count charges against him, that he must be sentenced to death. prosecutor kept on hitting on death sentence and continuously still narrowed it down to the part of him being disrespectful and arrogant. I believe what they should do is to negotiate with him. The president, through his prerogative of mercy, should grant him presidential pardon. Though I'm already hearing some side gossip, some rumors that the president is planning to release him when it is very close to 2027 elections, so that he can use it to win the hearts of the southeastern people. Nigerians are already saying that this is a political move, a political plan by Tinubu, that he wants to just use this one to gather the love and the trust of the Igbo people, in the sense that he will leave it this way. Then when he's getting close to election, he will now grant him presidential pardon, and through that one he can now win the heart of the Igbo people, and then he can be able to win their votes. By the time he wins their hearts, he will win their votes. That is the plan of the APC government. So this is what is just playing out, and left for me, I would say the government should act wisely and they just try to negotiate with him. That is my take on this. Then even the lawyer, Barrister Ejimako, is not even happy concerning this judgment. Himself and the other legal counsel of Nnamdi Kanu are saying that the judgment will not stand because they are going to appeal the judgment of the Federal High Court. The judge said they are giving them a period of 90 days to appeal the judgment. So let's see how they will appeal the judgments in the appeal court, the other events that will play out as the day goes by. From your own opinion, do you think the judgment of the court today was right or wrong? Please do well to put it in the comment section. Do well to like and share this video. Thank you and God bless.
The death penalty globally is now being frowned upon by the international community. Consequently, and in the interest of justice, I hereby sentence the convicts to life imprisonment for the said counts 1, 4, 5, and 6 instead of death sentence. Life is sacred to God. With respect to count 3, he is hereby sentenced to 20 years imprisonment without no option or fine. For count 7, he is sentenced to 5 years imprisonment without no option or fine. To extend the mercy, I hereby order that the sentence shall run concurrently.
A few minutes ago.
Well, I feel very bad. Not only me, I feel sad. My colleague is here. All of us, we feel very bad. It's a very bad day for judiciary. It's a very bad day for the criminal justice system in Nigeria. This is the first time in my entire life as a lawyer that I have seen a man being convicted for the mere words he uttered. Just like someone can say, don't be silly, and you say he committed an offense, and somebody say, just go and die, and you say he committed an offense. In law, we call those things mere puffery. They are harmless speeches, and you accuse a man of making broadcasts from a location somewhere around the world that he didn't name, and you could not tie any of those broadcasts directly to any criminal activity in Nigeria, and he stands convicted. That is very bad. So it kind of lends credence to this very narrative that the Igbo man faces another type of justice in Nigeria, other than from the one that is being faced by others.
Sorry to interject. Are you saying those words of incitement as found by the court were just commentary or buffers, as you rightly mentioned?
They are mere puffery. A lot of people make empty threats every day. You fight with a man or you fight with your fellow woman, and she says to you, okay, go and die, I'll come and kill you, this and that, don't be silly. Accident, Amadi or let thunder fire you. Are you supposed to be convicted for that?
Okay, sir, so we are now at this point where the court has delivered its judgment. What is the next line of action? Although Mr. Kanu does not have a lawyer as it stands, because you all are his consultants, so what would you advise him to do? And despite the killings happening in the southern eastern part of Nigeria?
Well, we're heading to the Court of Appeal, but as a responsible citizen, I'll see this opportunity to call for calm. I don't want anybody to get so angry in the southeast that some violence will start occurring from here and there. Let everybody be calm. This situation can be controlled. We have the next court in the chain, which is the Court of Appeal, and we're heading to the Court of Appeal.
Okay. And how optimistic are you that the Court of Appeal would either upturn or upheld this judgment?
Can my colleague take that question?
Yes, please.
Sure, please.
Well, thank you very much.
We are very optimistic because in the first place, from the analysis my Lord gave, you will find that my Lord was not able to pinpoint at any one single person who carried out any of the acts that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is said to have incited. You said Mazi Nnamdi Kanu incited killing. You didn't bring one single person who said, yes, I was the one who was incited. So, to me, I felt that it was the court giving evidence.
My people, now good evening. Just because many of you have been calling me, let everybody calm down. We are filing our notice appeal tomorrow. And be rest assured, the judgment is going to be set aside because this is not judgment at all. If you are doubting me, I will get the CTC of the judgment tomorrow. I will give it to you and the record of proceedings. You will now discover that the judge left what issues that we raised. He left everything that we are talking about and be writing another thing. So that judgment, it was predicated on anger. It just Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has insulted me. I will show him that I'm a judge. That's all. That's all. It's not predicated on law at all. A matter that was not investigated, the judge, you rejected the statement of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the DSS wanted to tender. Now, if a matter that was not investigated, there was no statement, there was no investigation report, on what basis are you giving judgment? Issues of the whole Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you did not even address it. You are talking about bombing Britain, British High Commission, bombing American Embassy. All those things doesn't make sense at all. We are filing our appeal tomorrow. We are going to set it aside. Let everybody calm down. Thank you and God bless you.
Okay. All right. Okay now. Okay, please, we'd just like you to react to the judgment that has just been delivered. It has been a long battle from 2015 till now, but your client got life imprisonment. How are you going to react?
Today we forever live in infamy. Today is the only day I have witnessed a man being convicted for mere puffery, for what he said from his mouth, not what he did with his own hands. The verdict is not consistent with the evidence laid before the court. The sentence is overbroad, cruel, and unusual. How can you convict a man for making mere broadcasts from a location that was never named, and he never tied that broadcast to any single incident of violence, or even someone slapping someone, not to talk of terrorism? You did all this, you didn't lay any evidence. I don't know where this whole verdict can be grounded in law, logic, or facts. We disagree with the judgment vehemently. Completely. Yes. And we are going to fight it from here onwards until justice is done.
Yes. There's no justice yet.
Yes. Suspect the judgment is not based on law. It's not based on facts. It's based on politics. It's based on some tribal primordial sentiments. Just because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is Igbo, an Igbo man has become the person in Nigeria that should be trampled upon. I'm not saying this because I'm Igbo. I'll say it for the Hausa or Yoruba who gets trampled upon. But today we saw an Igbo man being trampled upon, and by God Almighty, we are not going to allow it. It will not stand. Nobody is going to trample on me. Nobody is going to trample on Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not a terrorist. He's a man that was pursuing change. To pursue a separate nation of yours is not a crime. So in Nigeria today, if somebody says don't be silly, you get convicted. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu may broadcast, and so what? And you convict him for terrorism, for mere words in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What kind of precedent is being laid? So from here, we are heading to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal is the only court in this country, or the next court in this country, that sits as a jury. We are going to approach the justices there to check out what happened in court today. And we are pretty sure the justices will agree with us that today was the symbol of the travesty of justice that everybody has been suspecting all along. If the Court of Appeal disagrees with us, we head to the Supreme Court. But by God Almighty, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not going to stand convicted. Yes. Is going to get overturned. Thank you.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of the Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges. For fiscal year 2025, the U.S. has requested nearly $8 billion for sub-Saharan Africa. But when Americans see political prisoners, judicial defiance, and the slaughter of Christians, they understandably ask as they meet their own struggles, why should our tax dollars support governments that refuse to protect their own people? Is our aid aiding a genocide? Nigeria is a nation of tremendous potential, but that potential is being choked out by violent persecution of its Christian population. No country can build a stable future where churches are burned, believers are killed, and communities live in fear.